Ladies and gentlemen, I think the enthusiasm of the afternoon is infectious, and you could tell by the energy level here. I'm John Reed, the chairman of the corporation here at MIT, and I have the great privilege of welcoming you all to what to us in the MIT family is a wonderful event. We're celebrating the opening of what is, I think, one of the most forward-looking things that we've done in a long time. This is the David H. Koch Institute for Integrative Cancer Research. The things that will be happening in this building are amazing to those of us who happen not to be scientists and engineers, but they speak to one of the greatest problems that is not only a problem in the United States, but indeed is a global problem, and that is the problem of cancer. And this institution and the generosity of David Koch is making possible research that we have every reason to believe is going to move the frontiers in a very, very important way. This celebration comes at a great time here at the Institute because we're celebrating also the 150th anniversary of MIT itself. It was 150 years ago in April that we received our charter. So at the same time that we're celebrating the history of the Institute and the many contributions that engineers and scientists from MIT have made, and some of you from Cambridge have probably taken advantage to join us in some of these celebrations or to go to our museum or join us in the celebrations that continue. Typical of MIT, we've decided to take 150 days to celebrate 150 years. And so it has a beginning and it has an end. And on the other hand, we're looking at our history, we're learning from our history, we're proud of our history. At the same time, today, we're celebrating the beginning of a future. The notion of an integration between engineering and science in the pursuit of a disease that is one of the serious diseases in the world is a novel thought. And it's a thought that was embraced here by the corporation, and you're seeing the physical manifestation of that in our celebration today. By chance, I don't think it's by design, President Susan Hockfield, who was 16th president here of MIT and who I'm going to introduce right now, is herself a life scientist and the first life scientist who has been president of MIT during this long history. And so it's only fitting that she was president at a time that we had to make the decisions to create something of this sort, which really is on the forefront and a long way from the engineering base that has typified much of the last 150 years. So as I introduce Susan, I'm introducing somebody who is also looking forward and who has participated in the creation of this center, has worked closely with David and with the scientists from whom you will be hearing today as well in making this possible. So with no further ado, Susan.
Thank you, John. It's an exciting afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Senator Brown, Mayor Maher, David and Julia. We're thrilled to be here and thrilled that you could join us with us. Friends and supporters of the Koch Institute, the extended family of MIT, welcome all of you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us as we dedicate our newest hotbed of research and education innovation. As John just said, we are in the midst of 150 days of celebrating 150 years of MIT's history. And in preparing for this sesquicentennial, we've been delving into MIT's past to find fuel for our future. In 1861, when William Barton Rogers founded MIT, his aim was to make science more useful and the useful arts, meaning technology and engineering, more scientific. MIT's motto, mens et manus, mind and hand, expresses exactly that double aspiration. Rogers was passionate about fundamental discoveries in science, yet he was equally passionate about applying science and technology to solve the urgent, real-world problems of a nation that was developing a new strength through industry. In Rogers' desire to accelerate the industrialization of America, he recognized the need to reach boldly across the boundaries between disciplines. Rogers was a champion of learning by doing, and he pioneered the idea of teaching students by engaging them in hands-on research. In Rogers' day, these ideas were revolutionary, and in most places, even today, they're still pretty rare, but they are vividly alive in the daily efforts and future promise of the Koch Institute. Today, we dedicate a building that embodies mens et manus, mind and hand. Here in the David H. Koch Institute for Integrative Cancer Research, MIT's world-class biologists and engineers, with their laboratories side by side, collaborate in understanding the most basic molecular mechanisms of cancer cells and in developing practical, patient-ready devices. And their work stretches across the entire continuum, from abstract theory to advanced applications. Following the pioneering footsteps of our Department of Biological Engineering and with the galvanizing leadership of Tyler Jacks, Koch Institute researchers are cultivating frontier-breaking ideas at the remarkably fertile intersection of biology with engineering and the physical sciences. And as MIT has done so often in the past, the Koch Institute faculty, students, and staff are pooling their strengths to tackle a truly daunting human problem. Not surprisingly, the results are already inspiring. From chemically engineered nanoparticles that are molecularly equipped to selectively seek out and kill cancer cells, to embedded sensors that can detect cancer in its earliest stages or monitor its recurrence. And while our faculty members build bridges of new knowledge at the frontier of understanding, they are, at the same time, dedicated to educating the next generation of research pioneers. The creative energy of the Koch Institute is markedly accelerated by the intelligence, the curiosity, and the potential of next-gen researchers, including more than 100 undergraduates engaged through our Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program called UROP, over 150 graduate students, and another 150 postdoctoral scholars. To imagine the full, far-reaching impact of the Koch Institute, just think of the future when these students take the collaborative instincts, the interdisciplinary skills, and the hands-on problem-solving that they've learned here and sow these seeds in universities, hospitals, and companies around the world. And think of the Koch Institute not as the end point, but as the beginning. The first of MIT's 21st century activities fueled by the power of the convergence of the life, physical, and engineering sciences. I believe that William Barton Rogers would be proud. Let me call out one other bright thread that weaves through MIT's history and through the story of the Koch Institute. It's the transformative power of philanthropy. Philanthropic giving has been crucial from MIT's beginning. In fact, that gap between 1861, when MIT's charter was signed, and in 1865, when the first students enrolled, was mainly a long, intense struggle for funding. Yet despite the chilling shadow of the Civil War, Boston's leading citizens grasped the power of Rogers' idea. They supplied the funding, and MIT was truly born. In the decades that followed, philanthropists with vision and purpose transformed MIT in indelible ways. Recall the magnificent generosity of Kodak's founder, George Eastman, who financed MIT's transplantation from Boston to its ambitious new home here in Cambridge. Or of Catherine Dexter McCormick, class of 1904, who in the early 1960s funded MIT's first on-campus residence for women to make sure the Institute would not give up on coeducation. and we're glad she did. Since then, many MIT alumni and friends, including many here today, have also made gifts that vaulted MIT into the future. Transformative gifts that gave us the power and the confidence to fulfill the promise of mind and hand in each generation. And there is no better example than the many generous and visionary donors to the David H. Koch Institute for Integrative Cancer Research, led by David Koch himself, who has powerfully encouraged us at every turn. By virtue of David's advocacy and support for several of the very best cancer research centers in the country, David has a unique understanding of cancer research, from bench to bedside. David's passion for accelerating progress made his involvement in this project sophisticated, insightful, and inspiring. David has supported MIT generously over many decades, and in this project that we celebrate today, he has been a true partner. David, as you know well, I rarely am at a loss for words, but I simply cannot express sufficiently my gratitude for your vision, your generosity, and your enthusiasm. Thank you so much. But David was not alone in grasping the importance of this project. We also received magnificent support from Judy and Erica Swanson, Charles B. and Ann Johnson, the Koch Institute Leadership Council. Individually and together, these people have provided funding for this phenomenal building. They funded the Swanson Biotechnology Center, the Center for Nanotechnology Science, the Philip Alden Russell, class of 1914, East Gallery, and the Koch Institute Public Galleries. They've supported our Frontier Research Fund and Clinical Investigators Program. They established faculty chairs, and they've inspired other donors to join the cause. I extend my most enthusiastic thank you to all of you. Until very recently, cancer in its many forms has defied nearly every human intervention. Thanks to the work of many people over many years, new approaches give new promise. Today, thanks to David Koch and all who contributed to this project, MIT's Koch Institute has the resources and the facilities to become a hub of transformative collaborations with near neighbors like the Whitehead Institute and the Broad Institute, and Boston's extraordinary academic hospitals, as well as with colleagues that work on cancer around the globe. With so much strength behind us, we have the courage to apply the full force of mind and hand to turning the tide on cancer. And we could not be more grateful nor humbled by this powerful new opportunity to serve the world. Thank you very much.